It's official. I've cancelled Xbox Game Pass. I don't know if you heard it through our latest podcast episode or even in Peers We Trust. I think it may have been cut out, but I have recently cancelled Xbox Game Pass, and there's a few reasons why I did that. It's Alice. Hi there, and I'm just going to go through a short video on how I discuss about the views, which can be a bit positive and negative as well, but I'm sure I will discuss my reasons and show how much I thought about it for after many months. So the reason I've cancelled Xbox Game Pass, which is going to run out soon, is because it used to be about £10 or £11 a month, which it could be higher in the States, but recently it had a pound increase, which doesn't affect me at all. However, having to pay it every month when I'm not trying so many games on it, it just didn't quite work out for me. Also, I've been getting 3 months using the Xbox Live Gold trick, where if I collect enough points on Microsoft Rewards and then pay for it, then I can have 3 months of gold and then get about 45 days of Game Pass Ultimate. But then it's not really working though. The Microsoft Rewards app, it gives you challenges where you have to do weekly streaks to try to keep it going by doing 3 tasks, and it involves using the Microsoft Edge. However, as I've been trying to go for it and used to get 10,000 Microsoft points for doing all those achievements to get up to 10,000 gamer score, I've been waiting for it to come back, but it didn't. And also, all the tasks there, especially how to do quizzes or doing searches every day, it's just got so repetitive and boring that I just thought, screw it, I'm not going to keep this up and keep up the weekly streaks with it. And I thought, what's the point? I mean, I think it just feels like I need to keep on going and keep it active when I'm not really playing a lot of games with it. I mean, Starfield last year was the last stretch. It's supposed to be the killer app for Xbox, but honestly, from my heart, I know I've been saying about 7s out of 10 and everything, but it really worked out for me. I played it for over 200 hours, and it is one of the most addictive games I've ever played. But then the experience with it, honestly, it hasn't been very comfortable, and I keep dealing with the glitches there, which made me really glad that I went through 2 playthroughs and got all the achievements before actually finishing it completely. I don't know if the DLC is ever going to come, and I heard there's a huge update that improves the game so much, but then it's just it's just I don't think it's likely to interest me into going back to the game, and I'm not really paying a full price for it. The only way I can check it out is through the Xbox Game Pass. In fact, I know there's a few games that might be interesting, like Persona 3 Remake and all those bits, but I just couldn't see any time or any points to play any of the latest releases with the pass. Sometimes Microsoft gets rid of some of the games and you just end up running out of time if you really want to complete them or get all the achievements with it. And I thought, I just couldn't really keep up. The biggest games to come out on Game Pass, which you can get for free if you pay for the subscription model, but then you just end up having to spend so many hours to complete them, and it just gets really, really annoying. What I did, which I always fancied doing, is I ended up reading more books, which means less time for games and having to catch up the latest releases. And so far, my life has improved a bit. So yeah, it's just working out. Read about over 2 books this year, very good. But it also comes to the problem that if I go on the Game Pass and keep catching up with games just for the podcast, and I thought, it's just. But what really influenced me to cancel Game Pass is the fact I have a massive backlog of games. I got some of the games on the Switch to complete, and that includes Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC. And I've also got Control and the Mass Effect remastered for me to go through. And I also got a bunch of games which I got through the Xbox Store digitally. And I really need to get back to them and really catch up with the whole games and see how it goes. But because of my change of lifestyle, I could go through the slow burn with it and may not get back on the Xbox Game Pass. unless I have a reason for me to get back on it. Also, what really inspired me as well is that I keep seeing people on YouTube bringing up issues of the subscription models and how the bubble keeps growing. Like video on demand, you have lots of services like Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, and even like Netflix. And I thought, I would rather like stick to one at a time because I don't want to end up getting subscribed to so many services and pay a lot of money every month. And it just becomes a huge fatigue because of so many services you can subscribe to. But it's not just that. There's also music services like Spotify and YouTube Music, as well as some apps that you have to pay the subscription for every time. And that covers meditation as well. And I thought, this is getting very tiresome. Like, you own many services and it gets to the point where paying monthly just ends up getting a bit too expensive or ends up being really pointless to keep them alive, which leads to many more people turning to DVDs, music CDs, and even cheaper games, which they can even get it from like some of the secondhand shops. It's great. So I just feel like maybe it's worth like going to detox and pay for stuff which I can keep forever, because when it comes to digital libraries, it's just like it gives the rights over to the publishers and they don't always keep the games for you forever, whether it's licensed or they have any issues with it, they just remove it from the store, which means you cannot play them again. But if you have it on the physical, it means you can play them forever. And it's just for this reason that without the preservation of those games, I wouldn't be able to keep retro games like for Master System, NES, or Super Nintendo, or even the Mega Drive. If you own a game, you can play it as much as you can, and I still have many of those games after like 30 years. But there's some that you don't even get to play again on the modern consoles, like Knuckles Chaotix, for instance, on the 32X, and it hasn't been emulated for the modern consoles. And the only way you can do this is like get it like illegally and play it. And I don't know if there's any other ways, but when it comes to like buying it from the modern shop for like Xbox or Switch, there's not much any way which you can do this. However, I'm not always against digital, and there's a few services that I don't mind paying monthly for it because I'm impressed with the service, but also like to buy some of the games digitally because I wouldn't have to stack up the storage I have in my place. But when it comes to the favorites, I would prefer to have a physical copy. I mean, I'm just hoping there will be more rental services to swap out games or books which I can keep on going, but there's no problem when it comes to digital sales. Speaking of which, Microsoft, they like to do sales like all the time, even every month, where sometimes you get the biggest games and they give a lot of huge discounts to it. And I thought, wow, that's really good. I just ended up buying so many games that are discounted or lowered to the price, like even some of the £40 or £30 that's been reduced to £10, and you feel like you can buy the older games, catch up on them, and it just means you don't really have a huge need for Xbox Game Pass. As long as you stick to the older games, then there's really no need to subscribe to the service, unless you really want to catch up with the latest games and you have a strong enough internet connection to play the games on the cloud. Unfortunately for me, my internet connection is still bad and cannot run games on the cloud, so it just kind of takes away the value from my Game Pass. I still think that Game Pass is still a great value for some. I mean, when it comes to this as a subscription model, like, I know there's a lot of problems with subscription models at the moment. It just feels like it needs more to be kept alive. I know it has EA Play and there's also some other services too, but I feel if they put more into the rewards and put more into perks, or anything that makes you feel glad to be the Game Pass subscriber that works. If you still find a lot of value with the Xbox Game Pass, that's great. But for me, I just feel it's probably best for me to unsubscribe for a unsuitable future. However, there's another problem, that the price of retail games, like as it climbs up to about £70, especially the $70 too, and whenever this inflation goes on, it just becomes like buying games can get too tiresome and you end up sticking to older releases for less money, and this is just what limits me from enjoying the games the most. If you feel like you're liking this video, that's fine. Please subscribe to us, as we got over 300 subscribers and we are still bringing out Xbox goodies on the whole channel. And also subscribe us on the audio services and on podcasts. I have plenty more to take off my chest, but for now, I'm just enjoying the games without having to stick to the subscription services. But then, Xbox Game Pass is still good for many, so yeah, check it out. Anyway, until then, bye bye!
Thank you for listening to the X Marks the Box podcast. Follow us at X Marks Box on Twitter or X Marks the Box on YouTube. And follow us on all audio podcast services. Thanks for listening.